Wajir, it's good to see you well. You are not feeling well last time, and at least you are up responding to national issues. My first question on the allocations, as the breakdown you gave, we are dealing with road maintenance levy fund. The name is so clear. Road maintenance levy fund. What is the rationale of apportioning 1.5% of road maintenance levy fund to a roads department when your ministry is very well represented by 𝐓𝐑𝐀𝐍𝐒 and 𝐓𝐑𝐀𝐍𝐒 and 𝐂𝐻𝐿, and this is still a maintenance fund, and it would have gone to the right duties, not, because the State Department doesn't deal with road maintenance. These are the agencies under the Act, under your ministry, that deal with the road maintenance issues. And that brings me now to the reduction on KRB percentage from 2% to 1.5%. When I look at the mandate of Kenya Roads Board, it has a gigantic task to do, overseeing road network, coordinating development, maintenance. It is the advisor-in-chief of road maintenance, making sure that there is efficiency and cost effectiveness in regard to road maintenance. You reduced it from 2 to 1.5, whereas we wanted them to cascade their functions to counties to make sure that the standards are maintained. Their portion is to do so. I'm asking, that's my first question, why should that happen when they are required to grow? 2, on number 5, on the classification of roads, where you have inserted roads linking major designated towns and forming, that's on page 5 of what you are reading, and forming a continuous network with A and B roads. What are designated towns in our law, in our laws? Urban centers are coming. It will take time for them to be designated or recognized in laws. What are these designated towns? Are mainly the 5 cities known in Kenya, municipalities. From where I come from, there might be no designated town, which means you will deny me a chance for road classification. So could there be any ambiguity insofar as what designated towns are? And thirdly, through the chair, you have securitized 50% of RMLF. And here there is another breakdown. Are we talking of a different thing minus the 50%? Then the second question, there was the 7 shillings. Where does it fall into this percentage, into the matrix? Then you even envisaged that you wanted to securitize another 5 shillings. Where will it fall into this percentage? Sorry to ask, but it's out of ignorance that I did it. And my last rider, as you securitize, my constituency doesn't get equity in the securitization. It doesn't get 1 single shilling, and I pay fuel, levy fund. The only road I had is always, I don't want to be a perpetual complainer. It doesn't benefit me as a member of parliament and as a Kenyan. Securitization. Thank you, sir.
Appeal and another ruling, which puts us in a difficult place. Having said that, Chair, let me then deal with the question of, is it, I don't know, I was asking my peers where the 50%, I'm just trying to understand, of the total basket of the collection stipulated in the Section 6, which adds up to about 70 billion plus or minus before the 7 shillings, the sharing of that amount is basically in the ratios that have been stipulated. It will be 31% to KERA of the total basket, 14% of the total basket, So I didn't quite understand where the 50% is coming from, because the 50% that we are introducing, or that basically I'm getting confused with, is the fact that the Roads Act allows securitization for up to 50%. So I don't know where the 50% is coming from, if that can be clarified. But maybe that will be clarified later. Let me just go through the questions one by one. Honorable members, the 31% to �KERA, which no much questions have been raised on, and the 1.5%, which has been seriously questioned, is money we need as a ministry.
Wajir, allow me to, before you proceed with that point, we dispense with 50%, so we're clear with that particular.
That's why it's good. That's very clear now, because what that section, Chair, is giving clarity to Section 32A, which basically stipulates that we can set aside up to 50% for the purpose of raising more funds. I think that's the clarity. But with respect to allocation, if there was no setting aside, the point is, before we got the 7 shillings, or before we did what has come to be known as securitization, the basket will be 100%. We will do the allocation of those percentages of the total basket of 100%. But once securitization, or once we set aside a portion for the purpose of raising more funds, and the setting aside, which we have done 28%, the law allows that we can set aside up to 50%. But that is may, the fact that we've set aside now 28%, so the allocation formula is sharing on the 72% which is available. And that 72%, Chair, is 72% of 18 plus 7. Because that's why I'd given that rider that when 7 shillings came in, we never shared out. We basically took it straight to, basically, we sold it and basically got the SPV to give us the full amount of 175, which we are using to pay for pending bills. So with that understanding, and I wanted that to be clear, it is the ratios that have been set out in section 6 are ratios which apply to the full amount if securitization had not been done. But to the extent that we have now done 28%, what is available is 72%, and therefore the sharing is on 72% balance. I will delve into how we employ the proceeds of securitization, which some of our colleagues say we don't benefit, but I'll delve into that in a moment. Allow me to then, in a more structured way, deal with the questions one by one, and as raised by Saney, the issue is really the ratios. 31%, 14% would be applied on the 100% if securitization has not happened. But to the extent that we have securitized, I think that has come out clear. The 1% administrative, we are going into uncharted place where we are now having a levy, which has got its own act, RMLF Act, and we have to make sure that, like we have brought out clearly in the act, that we have to ensure that programs are submitted, proper administration and supervision is made to make sure this money is conditionally applied for roads and not applied for anything else. And therefore, there will be need for the ministry, including myself, to basically participate. I didn't realize the committee doesn't quite support the ministry. The 1% is very, very hotly contested. And yet, we need us to visit the roads, not to see the roads on paper. I've stipulated very clearly, Chair, in my argument that we need effective monitoring, unless monitoring is just sitting in my office and receiving phone calls. We need effective monitoring, we need evaluation, we need quality assurance, and we need audits. I do not need to ask KRB to book for me and pay for my fuel to go and audit them. Because you can imagine if I was paying your bills to come and audit me, it is no longer an audit. We need to visit all a number of these programs across the country. And don't forget, Chair, that KERA, KURA, and KENA reports to the ministry, or they are subject to the ministry. And therefore, if as a ministry, you don't give us ability to supervise what we are doing, and when we meet out there, it is on account of KRB or on account of KURA buying me a ticket, you can see there's a situation where the people I'm supposed to be oversighting are the ones paying my bills. This is the situation we are in today. Because don't forget that even as we sit here, you see the vote on administration given to the minister from the National Treasury. And if we don't leverage on this to ensure that we use this 1.5% to ensure that we effectively manage and monitor, audit, and ensure that we deliver. When you ask us, why are the roads breaking down too early? You should possibly not be asking the ministry. We should be asking KERA and KURA, because we have not been facilitated on the quality aspect of managing the roads, building the roads network.